This is a bit of a different episode. I have a letter to read, an email from someone. But before that, let me just do this little commercial. Okay, so I've got 2 YouTube channels here. This is Tales of Truth. You're not watching Tales of Truth. You're watching Sovereign Artsakh, this one, okay? But the other one is my history, the long lectures by experts, historians and psychologists, etc., talking about genocide, talking about the historical facts of the Armenian genocide and other genocides, but more focused on the Armenian genocide and this guy, Soghomon Tehlirian, the greatest hero of the Armenian people. And here on Sovereign Artsakh, our goal is to expose what's going on right now and get statehood for Artsakh recognized. Okay. Now, I've got all these videos that I put up and the viewership's going up, subscriptions are going up, and I get a lot of comments in the comment section. And it's Turks and Azeris versus the Armenians and the Christians. So there's I'd say the vast majority of viewers and commenters are Armenian and Turk. All right, so the battle rages, and you can look at the comment section and see the thumbs up and thumbs down, and most of them are like, it's even. There's about as many thumbs up and thumbs down. And I had one commenter, and I won't out him. I won't say his or her name. I don't even know. This person could be misrepresenting who they are, but it's a Turk. They're saying they're a Turk, and I'm going to read an email because, I have been posting the email address. If you want to reach out to me specifically, talk to me in a private conversation that's not publicly posted on YouTube or wherever, you can. It's in the link. The link is in the description. And so this guy, I'm believing this person that they're being honest, and I'll let you be the judge. Without further ado, I won't disclose the person's name, but you'll see within the body of this email that he gives me permission to go ahead and read it here. Now, this is a Turk, and I'm going to refer to this person, because I'm not going to use his name, as the Repentant Turk. I'm going to read it, and I'm going to comment about a few things that he brings up. Good day to you. I've been waiting for you to publish a way in which I could reach out to you. I'm impressed by your love for this beautiful thing that is faith, and would like to exchange opinions and worldviews with you if you don't mind. Now, let me start by saying I am not particularly religious. My parents are somewhat, but they never forced me into believing things I couldn't believe with all my heart. In fact, I was raised with so much freedom of thought that I was able to form this admiration for the Christian faith and the wonderful culture it encouraged to grow. Now, I do know that crimes have been committed in its name, but its message stands despite the horrible people that abused it. Alas, I'm losing myself in thoughts again. Now, back to the issue at hand. I have not been very kind towards the Armenian population and have made some horrible comments regarding the poor people of Armenian descent. I will always have to bear the shame of those words thrown into the internet in a nationalism-fueled rage. Until a good friend of our family came forward to us disclosing his Armenian roots, his voice trembling. I was shocked at first, and in my ignorance, I formed impressions about him I knew were false and rooted in ignorance and hatred. I realized that and began researching. I always dismissed the genocide as a result of a civil war that erupted due to the Armenians siding with the Tsarist Empire of Russia, but I neglected the events that led up to it. Now, I love this friend of our family, and so do my parents. He is and always will be a close friend. I understand now I understand now that Turkey needs to acknowledge the genocide and aim for reconciliation and reparation. We must stand together regardless of faith and race. Humanity has been beating itself up for way too long. That is why I support your cause and have hereby entrusted you with my personal email address. I know you will not abuse my trust in you by leaking it, as you are a good man of faith. You can, however, use the contents of our exchange if you wish. Anything that helps in ending this centuries-old tragedy of human suffering. Maybe one day I will even have the honor of calling you friend. Call me friend now. You've already won me over. I'm looking forward to your response should you ever want to answer, even if not. You're a wonderful individual fighting for justice, and I have nothing but admiration for that. Oh, you can't see down at the bottom. It says, all the best to you and your family. All the best to you and your family. And then the email heading, which I didn't put in here, is called The Repentant Turk. So thank you, Repentant Turk. RT. I'm going to call you RT. Artie. A-R-T-Y. RT. Thank you for reaching out. I know you're not a troll, but in the body of this email, you have been a troll, it seems, in particular against Armenians. And then a life-changing event occurred. And my good friend, isn't it an amazing paradigm shift, right? When you open yourself up to knowledge, you acknowledge your own wrongdoing. There's this freedom, right? There's this burden that lifts. I know you say you have to live with those words you've said that may come back to haunt you, but things of the past are in the past. They're there. And the true miracle is the change of heart, the seeing of the light, all those metaphors. When you receive truth, we humans just have this, we're designed as truth detectors, but it's impossible to recognize the truth if you can't see everything. And once you decide at least to consider the other side, you become more human, I would say. You become more of what you were designed for, to a discerner and a truth detector. And I know you say you're not religious, but what's happening in you or has already happened in you is miraculous. It's a miracle for somebody to open their eyes and see the facts and to accept them as difficult as they are. So I will respond to you more at length in an email at some point, but I wanted to get this video out and say to those who are watching this, one of the things that he mentions here is this close friend, until a good friend of our family came forward to us disclosing his Armenian roots, his voice trembling. All right, this is a guy fearing for his life. I'm assuming this is a Turk. RT here is a Turk, he's acknowledged he's a Turk. He may even live in Turkey. I don't know. But they have a family friend who came to them who was brave enough, secure enough in his friendship with the family to acknowledge his own Armenian roots. Here's a fact about this genocide that occurred. The Armenians were massacred. The Kurds and the Turks were released to freely butcher and plunder and do whatever they wanted to these Armenians who were wandering through the desert by government decree. And one of the effects was the young girls. The lusting hordes would fall upon these caravans and do as they wished. And one was raping and pillaging and massacring and kidnapping. And so there's a whole cross-section of these perpetrators who welcomed into their harems, into their homes, young Armenian girls who had children. And those children had children, and those children had children, but they were raised into Turkish culture with this secret. Your great-grandmother was Armenian. Your grandmother, your great-grandmother was Armenian. This culture that's raised to suppress the truth that there were Armenians, suppress the truth that they were massacred by Turks, and then they realize that they are Armenian. And it's fairly widespread. And it is a shock to the system when people realize it, when people do what RT here has done and open their eyes to the facts. This is not a race war. This is a war of good versus evil. And I'll say to you, I'll close with this, my friend. This is going to be a continuing dialogue, and I'll probably have a few more emails from you to read here as we continue. But you say you're not very religious, and thank God your parents let you be free, and you would not recognize the value of other world religions. and particular Christianity. And so I will close with this by saying this is a war of good versus evil. And maybe you just readily already acknowledge that, but how can there be such a thing as good and evil if there is no lawmaker to determine what those things are? Right? Is good and evil just based on your circumstances? Because the Turks would say massacring Armenians was good. Right? They actually believed they were doing it was their moral duty, whether it was their religion or whether they were social Darwinists. Right? It's the might. You have to massacre the weak so that you can evolve. The strong must thrive and survive and replace the weak, because the weak will compete for resources and then the strong will not survive. There's plenty of different angles you can take to this. But good and evil are objective. They're actual, factual. It's not social. You're not socially conditioned to believe one thing is good and another thing is evil. I won't make those arguments here. But the agreement that there is such a thing of good and evil is an acknowledgement that there's something above us and beyond us, outside of us, that determines right and wrong. All right? It's the beginning of wisdom. All right. So subscribe and share. This is going to be an ongoing conversation between RT and myself.